Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Amanat Time. And our today's guest is Lima Diaz. And today we are going to talk about civil platform Amanat. Lima, welcome. First of all, thank you for finding time to come to us and to speak about this very important event, which the whole Kazakhstan is involved in. I mean, elections 2019. And to start with, could you please tell us about the idea of Amanat? How do you come to it? Because at the moment, Amanat is the platform which joins the most proactive people from all over the country. Could you please explain?
First of all, I'm very, very happy that we have this platform, because just 2 months ago we didn't have Amanat, we didn't have anything. We just had ourselves. We had a group of active people from different regions of our country who decided that we want to participate in these elections, and we want to find our own place in this agenda. Although we didn't want to stick to follow any specific party, any specific candidate, yet we wanted to be proactive and we wanted to perform and to show our civil activity. So we gathered all together just as friends. Actually, Facebook really helped us. We gathered together and just brainstormed on what is very important in our society right now, where ourselves as activists, as experts, as journalists, as lawyers can be of service to Kazakh people. And we came up with the idea of this platform, which is called Amanat, and it's very symbolic meaning. As you know, it means a request, Amanat in Kazakh, and it's a traditional word that's very warm to many Kazakh hearts. So yes, this is a platform that in 2 months became one of the biggest activities and one of the biggest organizations of Kazakhstan, and I'm very happy that I was a part of what happened in the very beginning. So elections is very near, and I think everyone who joined Amanat so far is doing a great job in raising awareness of rights, of creating platforms, creating expert groups to discuss important issues and matters. And so this is a great example of how civil activists, just a single idea grows and thrives into something very special.
Thank you so much. Congratulations, because it's like a great job, and as we all know, Amanat is very famous, and you can hardly find a person who just hasn't heard about it.
Actually, we had some foreign observers, foreign experts, who said as soon as they stepped on Kazakh soil, as soon as they got off the plane, the first thing they heard was Amanat, and it's very pleasing for us. But most important is the results. First of all, we managed to accumulate a big community around our ideas. We have 5 directions, 5 topics of what we do. The first one is we are checking how ready is our country to help the elections. How ready are the candidates? How fair is the game? How ready the government to provide comfortable environment for on the election days and before the election days, because there is an opinion in our society that it was a very short notice to announce the elections, and we wanted to make sure that if election happened, we wanted to make sure that all of Kazakh, all the stakeholders are ready. We had many meetings with all president candidates to make sure that they are not discriminated in any way. We had meetings with representatives of Akimats, with representatives of Central Election Organization, and so far we have some minor issues. We have some minor notes taken, but so far so good. And the second direction that we are covering is the raising awareness. Because as far as I know by today is that 2 million people are the first time voters this time. And most of them are young people, and it's a known fact that many Kazakh citizens are not familiar with constitution, with their rights, with the laws, and can be tricked into some dangerous situations where they not just don't know their rights, but they don't know their liabilities as well. Same thing with mass media. We had trainings for journalists to explain what are the journalists' rights during the election and before the election, because there are many, soft spots. We also had trainings with young activists and young voters, and we see that this need and this urge for knowledge is very, it is especially in regions, because we managed to connect different non-profits in regions of Kazakhstan, and they joined ideas of Amanat. They became our network, and non-profits of Kazakhstan help us have held meetings and trainings for journalists and for young citizens, for young voters. The third and very important direction of our work is honesty. That's where we train independent observers. We stick to international standards. We have experts who have long time experience in observing of elections in different countries of the world, and we created bilingual instructions for observers, and we held many trainings for them. Hopefully, by the beginning of elections, by the election day, we will have about 10,000 observers all around the country who will be on the election spots to monitor how fair, how honest the elections are. And this is like an army of activists that on volunteer base just decided to join Amanat and to express their civil position, civil activity. Another very important issue that we are trying to cover is dialogue and expertise, because unfortunately we lack of expertise and we lack of popular platforms for experts with different opinions to express themselves. We try to create these platforms. We have roundtables, seminars, and press conferences, and we try to put on the one table people with polarized opinions. Probably, hopefully, in this in the argument, the truth will be born. So actually, right after this interview, we're having a roundtable for experts in Nursultan, and Almaty and Nursultan are one of the most active. Obviously, one of the most active cities, but we had our concerns that regions would not be as active as we would like them to be, but our experience and time has shown that regions, all 17 regions of Kazakhstan are very active, especially within young people, with journalists, with non-profit organizations, and we see tremendous activity in regions of Kazakhstan. And finally, the fifth direction of our work and passion is trust, and it's one of the most important ones, because when I'm not heard, when I do not express myself, I do not truly trust whoever is standing in front of me. So we want every citizen of Kazakhstan to express his or hers amanat, his or hers with to our future president. It doesn't matter who our president will be after this election, but we want to create this sort of social pact of people expressing themselves and expressing their fears and hopes, and this is actually some future path. Probably what we see for ourselves is to follow up these fears and hopes and make sure that the communities, that the citizens are heard by the government. And so we try to be this this kind of a bridge between people and the governments. So this is a great results that we have, and big work that has been done, and it wouldn't have been done without activists all over the country who just decided to join Amanat, and we are really thankful for them, and they actually demand some further activity after the elections, so time will show what will happen next. And I hope Amanat has a bright future ahead of it. We really invite all Kazakh people, everyone to join us and to express the opinion. Even if our opinions do not match, that's all right, because we are all different and we all have different perspectives and we all have different experiences. But in our differences lays our strengths. So that is the main topic of Amanat, to gather all together on one civil platform, different people, but what's connecting each one of us is our love to our country and our eagerness to change it for better. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Have there been a similar organization before, like Amanat? What was the impact of creation of this platform?
If we're talking in terms of elections, there has always been monitoring or observing groups, associations that were very active during different election periods. As far as I know, there is not a single one that still is here. I mean, time goes by and the form of civil activism changes, and modern time requires something very network-like, something very mobile like Amanat. That's why we are here. We are the product of our time. We are the product of social network. We are the product of young people being very active. If you're talking about associations of citizens, obviously there are many of them. For example, Civil Alliance of Kazakhstan, it's very active in different regions, but Civil Alliance mostly connects organization, non-profits, but Amanat connects citizens. We are not an organization. You don't have to be an NGO to be a part of Amanat. You just have to be a citizen. You have to share our values. You have to be active. That's the only criteria for you to become part of Amanat. So if we're talking about this elections, I know that there are a few observing groups, especially among young people, and it's a very great indicator of activity of our citizens in general, because youth is the marker that shows if the country is active or not, and it's very great, and we are very glad that some of activists come and visit our trainings, and our activists go and visit their trainings, and that's great. Because together and sharing knowledge together, we can, be more sophisticated and more experienced and have more knowledge.
Talking about Amanat team, so you have managed to create like this network in every region, and if we are talking like in percentage like way, could you please mention about like the representatives of the young generation and like more older one, like experts, like very famous people?
Yeah. Well, it's very different. In each region is very different. For example, in Mangostau, one of the most active people of Amanat network is a lady who is, as far as I know, about 70 years old.
Wow.
We have students and volunteers who are 17, 18 years old. Some of them don't even have the legal right to vote, but they still are very active. I think that average age in Kazakhstan is 30. Myself, I am 30, and I think you guys are something about this age. And I think we are average age, maybe something 30 to 35 probably. That people usually think that activists and non-profits of Kazakhstan are elderly men or women, very respectable, who are, retired and started being socially active. But this is not the case anymore. Activists, the core of activists is becoming younger and younger with every year. And I think the portrait of an active Amanat follower is either businessman, entrepreneur, or activist of non-profit, probably sometimes employee of a government body, school, university. We have some university professors as part of Amanat. Probably journalists who has main job, who is employed, but has some free time to, to volunteer on for the country. So this is the average portrait of Amanat person.
Great, thank you.
I read the article in Wikipedia and I found out that there were a violation of human rights. OSCE organization noted that people from government's Russia maybe were forced to vote under the threat to be fired from their job or their salary to be cut. What can you tell about this event?
Yeah. Actually, we had a meeting with OSCE just a couple of weeks ago, and we discussed these issues, and not only these issues, but many more. As observers, as you know, the instruction says that observers note or make notes and further recommendations in case when there are legal requests from citizens. So far, as far as I know, there were some insinuations in media, in social network, and when we try to follow up and when we try to take notes on the name and surname and ID number and the exact details of what's the situation, we didn't have any material to work on. We are observers and we follow the instructions, and we cannot fall for this agenda or another agenda. We are being very objective and we work with facts, and facts are usually paper and pen. So I'm not saying that there are no such cases, but I'm saying that it's very important to have in mind that these cases should always be on pen and on paper, and as soon as it is, we will take actions.
Coming back to the question about the Amanat network. So you mentioned that you have like your, let's say, people, followers or participants in every region in Kazakhstan. And could you please provide us with your opinion about the activity in the regions, comparing to Nursultan or Almaty?
Oh my God, the activity is crazy. Okay, I'm over exaggerating if I say it's crazy, but it's something we did not expect at all. First of all, I think, as far as I remember, about 51 organizations in region joined us. We are 10,000 observers so far and counting. We are covering 100 of all election spots all over the country. Actually, in the capital, in Almaty and Shymkent, there are 2 observers on each election spot. Regions have this need to express themselves. What's very unique that Amanat is offering is content in native language, in Kazakh. Turned out that many activists never had such a quality content prepared by professional lawyers, prepared by professional journalists, all put together in a beautiful form. There is a lack and thirst for content in Kazakh. That's why as soon as we provided this content in Kazakh language, we had just explosion of activity. And I think not a single organization in Kazakhstan, especially observing organization in Kazakhstan, has as many Kazakh Peking activist as Amanat does, and that's a great thing. So our regions are being very creative as well. We come up with some ideas, we come up with some recommendations, we provide them with material, and they just work on it, and they create something extra, and they attract people extra, and they just do extra. They are very active, and I think it would be a crime to stop Amanat at all, because we managed to give birth to something very special that's never happened in our country before, and we are very happy that these special elections that are unique for our history, that during this election this unique activity happened. This one of our main concerns is to raise activity without raising destructive activity, making this activity productive, making this activity work in a legal area, within the law, with the law, expressing yourself within the law, because we know that there are cases when activists, probably because they don't know the details of our legal system, which is not perfect as well, probably because of some other reasons, but some activists, they go beyond the legal area. We try to avoid this, and we try to push the limits of knowledge, push people to express themselves to the maximum level within the legal area. So that's what we're doing.
And maybe one more question, because it's like all what we have been talking about so far is so nice, so good, and so could you please tell us about some obstacles, challenges, some problems
you cannot talk that when you have this yellow and green behind.
Yeah, colors are very nice, right?
It's not all rainbows and unicorns, obviously. We have some obstacles. We have some difficulties with government bodies in regions when they don't really understand at first who we are and what we're trying to do, and there is this fear that any activism can become demonstration, opposition, that the biggest concern of government, some government bodies in regions, is that we are anti-government. But we are not anti-government, we are pro-government. We want our government to be strong, we want our country to be strong, but we want it to be honest, we want it to be open, and we want to be heard as citizens of our government. So as soon as we, overcome this obstacle in misunderstanding and understanding, everything goes more or less, smooth. Yeah. Another thing that's very difficult is professionalism. Because unfortunately many activists of Kazakhstan are not professional enough. They lack of expertise, and we had to, in this short period of time, we had to pump up the level of professionalism of all people that decided to join us. Obviously, finance is another issue. It's not very easy to be sustainable, to be active and reactive, proactive when there is no sustainable, finance pillow, for example. But we try to be clever in these ways. We use some very simple marketing tricks. For example, our logo and our visual line is all taken from social network, from emojis, and it's very cheap for us to promote our ideas because of these very simple and very relatable forms. Yeah. We really rely on volunteers that help us to do the bulk of work. So there are many obstacles, but I think in the first place we are created because we are optimists, because we want to be, in the plus. So I think any obstacle is not a big problem if you are being optimist, if you're being productive, if you're being understanding to other people, if you're being respectful to your partners. So far so good.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah?
Are you planning to work after election day?
As I said, it would be a crime to stop Amanat because we have so many active people now already. And we collected all these amanats, all these ideas, all these wishes and fears from people. And now we are forced and we are pushed to follow up. We are pushed to, to maintain this activity in some form. I don't know yet. We will see. We will see how the X day, how the X day will happen if we are mobile enough to be professional team all together, all 11, 12,000 of us. But we have this request already. We have people asking what's next. We want to do something next. So we will see. Only time will show us.
I hope we will see you in next presidential election.
Myself in next presidential election or Amanat?
Amanat.
Okay.
You the team.
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.